we are going to pick up with the Code Talkers, the Native Americans. That America has done this. They used Choctaw in World War I, but Navajo will be used in World War II. And this is the first. This is a good idea because obviously Europeans don't have access to Navajo speakers to be able to crack or translate or break the code. And so several Native American groups are going to be used in the military as translators and educators of the code.
Carrie Broussard, Cecilia Cascio, Chloe Falcon, please go see Miss Elford. Carrie Broussard, Cecilia Cascio.
We're going to talk about fighting in World War II kind of thematically. We'll talk about how we fight and defeat the Axis, and then we'll focus on fighting in Japan. The fighting does overlap somewhat, but we'll look at one region at a time. So we are going to decide to fight Europe first, mainly because Churchill is going to convince Roosevelt that this is a good idea. Churchill needs FDR's help, needs America's help in stopping Hitler in Europe. And so he basically says, look, help us put down Hitler, and then we will help turn all of our resources against the Japanese with you. And so we're going to fight both areas at the same time, but we're going to turn our attention and our focus more so to Europe at first. And our first priority is actually going to be fighting in the Atlantic. The same thing that was happening in World War I with the German U-boats attacking all Allied ships is happening again. And so we need to put a stop to this. Germany's essentially firing upon any shipment of goods that, Britain and the Soviet Union have. And so probably hoping to starve out the population. So we're going to, just like in World War I, we're going to begin using the convoy system to keep these attacks to a minimum. We're basically going to send all merchant ships traveling with large amounts of naval ships so that there's more defense and protection there. And then, just like we have radar, we now also have the use of sonar. And sonar is going to be used to detect these German submarines. And so pretty quickly, we're going to get a grip on controlling the Atlantic Ocean and allowing shipments to come through without German attacks. Now that we can cross the Atlantic Ocean freely, we will focus our attention first to the North African front, which is going to be referred to as Operation Torch. If you recall, we left off with the Allies, Churchill, sending Allied forces to North Africa, hoping to conquer colonial territory there so that they could eventually launch an invasion from the south on Italy, the quote-unquote soft underbelly of Europe. That's just a review. So we're going to go send our forces to North Africa to help Churchill accomplish this. Operation Torch is led by the man pictured on the screen, not sure if he's cut off or not, Dwight Eisenhower. General Dwight Eisenhower goes on to become president later, but for now he's in charge of the Allies in North Africa. You don't actually have to know the date or the countries listed, but I do want you to know that over 100,000 Allied forces are going to be sent to North Africa and we are going after the Afrika Korps, which you remember is actually the German fighters and soldiers in North Africa. Africa spelled with a K, and then Korps spelled with a K also. Within a few months of fighting, really just a couple of weeks actually, the Africa Corps will surrender, and we now control the North African coastline to plan a larger scaled invasion of Italy. This picture is a meeting in Casablanca. It's a city in Morocco where Churchill and FDR will meet to discuss how they are going to defeat the Axis, and they want to attack Italy first. We were going to choose to, you can ignore the bullet that says unconditional surrender. This is just referencing our goal to force the Axis powers to surrender unconditionally. But we will launch our invasion of Italy. We are off to an immediate good start when on the way to Italy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the large island right south of Italy, Sicily. We take the island of Sicily very quickly, and then we're preparing to launch our invasion of the Italian mainland. Now, during the same time this invasion is taking place, the Italian government is kind of in a mess. They are upset by the Allies' success in North Africa. They are upset by the Allies' success in Sicily. And they're actually in the middle of all this going to force Benito Mussolini to step down and resign. And so their government is not strong enough to combat the Allies at all. This is much to Hitler's dismay, who is obviously trying to keep the Axis powers together because that's his one and only teammate in Europe. So Germany immediately begins sending in German reinforcements into northern Italy. Okay. And he is hoping that they will be able to hold the Allies off. But within some amount of fighting, the Allies are able to completely take all of Italy, including the capital city of Rome, and Germany has officially lost their Italian ally. So perhaps Churchill was not incorrect by calling Italy the soft underbelly of Europe. I do want to talk about one particular group of people who fought in the Italian campaign because they are known as heroes today, and that is the Tuskegee Airmen. The Tuskegee Airmen were members of a fighter squadron, so an Air Force squadron, and they were all African American. Remember, the military is not yet desegregated. They fought bravely against the German Luftwaffe, and they were eventually awarded with distinguished honors, a very high honor given to them in military society. I believe it was called Distinguished Unit Citations, but you don't have to know that. But they are one of the first all-black groups to be awarded with such high recognition of honor in military service. And they weren't the only all African American group to be awarded any kind of honors in this war. The infantry, the 92nd Infantry Division, nicknamed the Buffaloes, were fighters on land, and they also received high honors. I don't actually need you to know their names. I'm going to focus more so on the Tuskegee Airmen because they are highly celebrated today, and there's even a couple movies about them. We're going to pick up later this week with D-Day. So you are finished with this screencast, and I hope you'll all have a good day. Please write down any questions, and I am fully aware that some edits need to be made to your outline for this to flow correctly. All right, thank you. Have a good day.